All right, hey everyone. Hey, today it's just going to be a simple Bible study. I'm not going to spend time talking about how the fact our so-called usurper is, not eligible to hold the office of president. That I'm going to study. I'm going to talk about something that's I'm much more passionate about, something that I get a lot more excited about, and that is the Word of God. And you might say, well, what credentials do you have to read the Word of God and to talk about it? I don't have any credentials. I'll just be upfront with you. I don't. I've heard a saying, it was a long time ago. It said, God doesn't select the ones that are qualified. God qualifies the ones that he selects, right? And so you say, my credentials? Well, my credentials are, I know how to use a shovel and I can dig a hole to fix a water main break. I change the oil in my truck and most of the time, and I don't pay somebody $60 to change it for me. I've been known to change an alternator and a starter every now and then, and I change the litter box out. That's my credentials. The four things I can't stand that I've grown to just have a huge distaste for in modern society is philosophy, religion, education, and science. All four of those I have a huge distaste for, because modern philosophy, modern religion, modern education, and modern science are against the Word of God. They do everything they can to go against this book. And so if any four of those would align with the Word of God, and if it would be philosophy based upon the Word of God, or religion based upon the Word of God, or education based upon the Word of God, or science based upon the Word of God, I'd be all for it. But that ain't the case nowadays. We got Satan controlling all four of them, and I got no use for it whatsoever. So throw all that crap in the trash and just hold on to the Word of God, and you'll do fine. So that's what I want to do today. And somebody gave me a Bible verse, and it was used because they didn't think I'd understood the arguments of pre-tribulation. And I think the person used it as an insult to me, because I refused to listen to 3 hours of pre-tribulation, of him talking about pre-tribulation. And I think that he has a right to do that, right? If I have 3 hours to spare, it's not that I don't know the pre-tribulation arguments. I've studied pre-tribulation for weeks and weeks and weeks, right? I know what the arguments are. I sat under a preacher that preached pre-tribulation, and I listened to him week after week, and even on Wednesdays, drill pre-tribulation, try to anyway, into my head. So I understand that, when he used the verse, he was doing it from his perspective in a righteous way, because I wouldn't listen to him talk about it for 3 hours. But it's still a good Bible verse, and I would like to read it again, because I think it's very appropriate for all of us. And that is Proverbs 18:13. He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is a folly and a shame unto him. So we should hear things, right? And I would never tell anyone not to read a book. Matter of fact, if I ever get the time and I just have 3 hours to blow, I might go listen to him speak about pre-tribulation, but I got my fill of it. I've read lots of books, right, on pre-tribulation, and I've listened to lots of sermons, and I know about the split tribulation. I know about the time of Jacob's trouble. I know about the 70th week of Daniel. I know about the imminence, the doctrine of imminence. Blessed hope. I've heard all that, right? But hey, if I get the time, I might go one of these days and listen to his 3 hours. But I haven't done it yet. But I would never advise anybody not to listen to it. I want people to listen to everything. But I've been told not to. That people shouldn't read certain books, right? And I would never tell anybody not to read a book. I'll read any book. I read Anton LaVey, I believe, has the Satanic Bible. If you want to read it, go read it. You should know. I believe we should know the methods of our enemy. Aleister Crowley wrote some books. If you want to read those, go ahead. Mein Kampf, to understand what Hitler thought. The Turner Diaries. I think the Turner Diaries is good reading. I'm not in agreement with everything in it, but it can enlighten you to some things. It predicts some things that are incredible. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Go check out that if you want to read some controversial books. I read the Quran twice. You know what I did after I read the Quran? I burned them. I burnt my copies. I wouldn't want to burn your books. But hey, I recommend you read the Quran. Understand what filth it is. And you might feel the same way I did after you read it. You might want to burn it, just like I did. I know not only burned it, I pissed on it. I think the pissing on it, I went a little bit too far. I gotta admit, I think I went too far pissing on it, but I don't feel bad about burning it. Okay, let me also read you one other verse, and I want to jump into Judges 19, which is about the queer sons of Belial cause a civil war, and we only got a short time, so I got to go quick. I want to read you guys Hebrews 4, if I can find it. Where is Hebrews 4? I thought I had it marked, but every time I think I got something marked, I lose it. Here we go. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12. Hebrews 4:12. For the word of God is quick. Man, I love this. You got to listen. When I read this, I get goosebumps, man. I love this verse, and I love the word of God. Check it out. Check it out. For the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and it is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. That's a beautiful Bible verse. Go read Hebrews 4:12 and check it out. I mean, just read it over and over again. I mean, I get excited when I read something. Wow! Okay, Judges 19. Okay, Judges 19. Okay, if you just type in Sons of Belial, you're going to get all these heavy metal bands and all these young men who love heavy metal, and they just have the spirit of queerness about them. They really do. And I would never name my rock band the Sons of Belial, which the Sons of Belial in the Bible is almost always associated with lawlessness, queers, anarchy, right? And, there used to be a time in my life when, I might turn on an AC/DC tune and hey, I like that music. But I never got in it so much that it became an idol, thank goodness. But I want to read you guys Judges chapter 19, and my time goes by so quick. I only got 15 minutes. So let's get started. And keep in mind, I need to set if you read the last verse in Judges, you got to understand the context. It says, this is the last verse in Judges. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes. So basically, the people in Judges, the people in Israel at this time, they didn't have a king, and it was anarchy. And even there wasn't, when I go through this chapter, man, it's just some evil stuff. And I might have to make it 2 parts, but let's get started. It's like even the good guys aren't all that good. You know what I mean? And here we go. It's chapter 19 of Judges. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite. Now keep in mind, the Levites were supposed to be the priest class. They were supposed to understand the word of God. They were supposed to be the example to the rest of the people. So just think about all the priests nowadays that, the pedophilia and their terrible examples, and all, plus you got all these evangelists that ask for money all the time. They ain't no example for anybody. So the phone's ringing, but we're going to keep on going. And there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite. He's a priest, supposed to be a priest class, sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine. So this priest, who's supposed to be a godly example to everybody else, it didn't say he had a wife, it said he had a concubine, which is more like a female servant that he has sex with, that he wants to, bear children, I guess. So, it doesn't even have the Bible calls it his concubine woman. It's not even my wife, just one of my concubine woman. I have sex with her every now and then, and she's going to bear me some children. That's the example the priest class was setting at this particular point in time. Now keep in mind, the Bible's not condoning this. The Bible is a history book. It reflects what really happened, and it doesn't hold any punches. Okay, and as we go through here, you're going to see some stuff. It's like, wow, this is some bad stuff. Okay, so we have this priest. He has a concubine woman, and she was out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore. So the woman that he picked for his concubine, she went out and whored with someone else, is what I gather when I read that. Now, if I go through this chapter and you think I say something wrong, share it with me, and maybe you'll share some things with me and I'll be corrected, right? But I'm going to tell you when I read through this book what I think about it, right? Do I have the right to read the Bible and to tell you what I think? I just want to know. You don't have to believe me, right? But I'm just reading Judges chapter 19, and I'm giving you my impression, right, of what I read. And I'm interested in what you got to say too. Okay, the first verse tells us we had a priest. He was a Levite, and he had a concubine woman, and she went out and whored against him. Okay, and his concubine played the whore against him and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah. So the concubine went and became a whore. and she ran away to her father's house and was there 4 whole months. So I guess he started missing her after 4 months, right? He said, I miss that concubine girl. I think I'll go get her back. And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her. So he goes, hey baby, I know you whored against me, and you ain't really my wife, but I miss your concubineness. Can you come back? And to bring her again, having his servant with him. So he must be a kind of a wealthy dude. He's got a servant, right? He's got a concubine girl and he's got a servant and a couple of asses. So we know this, he must be doing pretty good. He's got a couple of asses and he's got a servant. And she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. So the father-in-law of the girl loves this guy, I guess, because maybe she was just a worthless girl and the father-in-law needed some good company to talk with. And it sounded like it was very rejoiceful to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So did they eat and drink and lodge there. So the guy went and tried to get his concubine girl back. He met the father-in-law, and they had a good old time talking and eating and having some drink, just visiting and hanging out. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. So the father-in-law don't want him to go. He's probably like the best company he's had in a long time, and they're probably, if he really is a priest class, he probably knows a lot about the Word of God. And maybe the father-in-law was like, hey, tell me more about this Bible that you know about. And so I don't know what they were talking about, but I'm just guessing here. But it says they did have a good time with each other, and they hung out. And they sat down and did eat and drink both of them together, for the damsel's father had said unto the man, be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thine heart be merry. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him, and therefore he lodged there again. So he stayed another night. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, comfort thine heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until afternoon, and they did eat both of them. So they just continued to hang out, and they just loved talking to one another. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray you, tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry, and tomorrow get you early on your way, that thou mayest go home. Okay, so the father-in-law is asking him to stay one more night. But the man would not tarry that night, and he rose up and departed and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem. And there with him 2 asses, saddled. His concubine also was with him. So he finally left. It was late at night, and he had his concubine, and he had his servant, and he had his 2 asses. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent, and the servant said unto his master, come, I pray thee, and let us turn into this city of the Jebusites, and lodge in it. And his master said unto him, we will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger, that is not of the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah. And he said unto his servant, come, and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night, in Gibeah or in Ramah. And they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down upon them, and they were by Gibeah, which belongeth to Benjamin. So they've entered the city of Gibeah, controlled by the Benjamites, and it's real late at night. And right there I got to stop because I've ran through my 50 minutes. I'm going to stop the camera, start it up again, and we'll continue on with this story in Judges 19. And let's see what happens to this Levite guy.